Did you see the socks on her over there?
No.
Oh, she got green ones?
Yeah. She rolled them down a little bit.
Oh, they're nice. She's
So-
always so festive.
So let's get rolling here. So we're
Okay.
pumped up today. We're at Afterburn here in Rothesay.
Yep.
Me, Brandon Vincent, and we're lucky to be on here with Danielle Blizzard, the owner, CEO of the Clean Fork.
The clean fork.
Let's go.
That's me.
That's you. That's you. So give us a little introduction, Danielle,
About myself?
about
Yeah.
yourself.
How much
Yeah.
time do we have?
We have all kinds of
You're
time.
like,
We have all kinds of
wow.
time, Danielle.
Let me just listen. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I guess should we take it back to me and Evan went to school
We
together.
went to school. Where'd you go to middle school?
Milledgeville North.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Which
I didn't
school
go
was
there, but
that
we went
that
to
you
high
guys-
school together.
High school, St. Max.
St. Max, okay?
Yeah. Good old time St. Max. Yeah, so anyways, did not follow through with like anything that I took in school. Was in university for like 7 years. Ended up though becoming an x-ray technologist, which I think kind of got me into like the health field, just being like with patients and everything.
Yeah.
But then when I had my daughter, I was on my mat leave. And my husband owns this gym and the one in town as well. And I really, I've always been passionate about nutrition, helping people, because I myself had done so many cycles of dieting and like gaining weight, gaining weight, losing weight. And I finally like made it a lifestyle probably like 7 or 8 years ago. And so I wanted to do that for other people. I was bored AF on mat leave. Like, don't,
AF.
Right.
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, like
Yeah.
it was a full-time job, but like I missed learning and like knowing stuff from my job, so I took this nutrition course and took a couple clients like on mat leave for nutrition, and it just took off.
And you can almost, being stuck home like that, you can almost start to get depressed. with not-
No, you have to
100%.
do something. You have to have some kind of purpose and some kind
Yeah.
of mission to be on. Something
Yeah.
that's purposeful for you, right?
Yeah, like that's exactly how it felt. Like I just didn't really have a purpose. Like I was like a new mom, and that obviously was a huge job, but it just felt like I was just a mom, and I missed having like something separate. And when I was at work as an x-ray tech, I had like a really fulfilling job. I worked alongside doctors. We were putting stents in people's arteries who were having heart attacks, and like that was just gone. So I was like, just like cleaning a baby's bum.
How long were you an X-ray tech for?
So I graduated in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Graduated from the X-ray tech school?
yeah, so it's a degree now. So I graduated from UNBSJ.
Okay.
And I did radiography through like a Moncton program. So I spent 2 years in the Moncton hospital. And then I got hired to come back home, which is where I wanted to be. Worked as an x-ray technologist like in Sussex, St. Stephen, here at the regional St. Joe's. Then I got a job in the cardiac cath lab. So it was like no more bones, and then I had to learn arteries, and that was like
That's
my
cool.
love. Like heart health really became my love, and we didn't learn that in school, so it was neat
Cool.
to be like an x-ray tech but get to do that and be part of a team like that. So that was I loved it, but it just became too much. Like I started the Clean Fork, which literally the Clean Fork started as like an Instagram page of just like my recipes. So I would
That's awesome.
that's how
man.
it started, like in when was that? 2017. Not actually like this company, but it was like I need a name for this Instagram page where I like tweak recipes and make them healthy. And so I called that page the Clean Fork. It was never a coaching company. Then when I took this course in 2019, so 2 years later, I was like, oh, I already have a name and a page.
And
Let's
that's a
call it.
nutrition course.
Let's keep it. Yeah, I took a nutrition course, a personal training course. And I was like, well, I already have the Clean Fork. It's already like a page going, and I'll just call it the Clean Fork.
When you were doing the nutrition course, was there a lot of things that you like learned that was eye-opening to you that you may not have thought was basic information or like common sense? Like was there a lot of things where you're like, oh, I didn't know that about nutrition? Like was there a lot of that, or is it a lot of like coming from your experience probably being fairly healthy, like
Yes.
was a lot of it like, okay, I just need to figure out like ways to perfect this?
Yeah. A lot of it, I would say I knew a lot of it already, just because before I took the course, I had competed in a couple bodybuilding shows actually. So
Okay.
Which is crazy.
it's just a whole other.
That's a whole other, like, that you're
was
putting yourself through a ton. for that.
Literally.
Right. So then doing those bodybuilding shows,
I learned
you would
a
have
lot.
had to
Yeah.
know a lot about nutrition going
Exactly.
into
Like
those.
I had a coach for those. I had a coach for those shows, but I learned a lot about food, how it affects the body, and like how to strategically, cut carbs and then load carbs and cut salt and cut water and load water. And so I learned a lot. So it was a nice like revision in the course, because there was a large section actually on that type of dieting, we'll call it.
Right.
But it was a nice actual revisit to biology. Like there were a couple chapters I was like, oh my God, like this is deep. Anyways, so it touched a lot on bio, and what I really liked about this specific course that I took, because there's tons of nutrition courses out there, is this one was very big on balanced diet. So not omitting food groups. Like I think the keto chapter was like so small, and it was like basically like it's up to you as a coach, but like that's not a balanced diet, right? Like there's a time and there's a place for something like that, but the philosophy was my philosophy, which was I spent years cutting carbs to lose weight, and so that was kind of like I'm not fucking doing that. Like so it was nice that it was like, no, you can eat carbs at night, you can eat them in the morning, like this is how you build a plate. And that's why I really liked that course, and I almost like made that the motto of the Clean Fork was like you don't need to cut these things out. You can still get results and eat the food.
It's
that
like
you love.
nothing nobody else does, man. Like her recipes, and it's like, it's wild. Like people think they need to eat like just chicken and rice and stuff like this to lose weight, but she has like poutines in there and like everything. She's like,
you have to keep it sustainable is the thing, right? Because everybody can follow a diet for 2 months, 3 months, but it's like you're eventually going to burn out if you have no variety. You got to find something that's going to give you a well balance over the course of life, so that's meant for longevity, and it's not just meant for a quick kind of stint of. It's like people like, it's like there's carnivore diets, but it's like you can't do that all the time. Maybe a month or so, and clean some stuff out, or
exactly like. Yeah, the way that I kind of look at it is like if you're trying to get results like weight loss or even putting on muscle mass or whatever it is that you're changing your diet for, you can't go back to what you were doing before and expect to just keep those results. So whoever you are, when it comes time to, I want to change my body, I want to do whatever, you're going to have to find something that you, as long as you want your body to like respond or stay like this, you're going to have to find something that you want to do forever. You can't do it, go back to what you were doing before and expect those results to stay. So that's why, like, for me, I try to work really hard to have like food on there that they're already eating, because you're already eating these meals for a reason. You obviously enjoy them. You return to them after you do a diet or whatever. So why don't we just find a way that you can still have them, but make it more like either whether it's your portion or we change a couple ingredients, right? Because
100%.
That's kind of like my view on it.
love, like, man, you got to check out her cookbooks. Like, it's insane, dude. Like, it's like, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep my weight off by eating this, but it's true.
Yeah.
I love it. So I always make this one, the lasagna soup is one of my favorites.
That is a fan favorite.
Good.
So many
soup?
people love
That sounds really good.
soup.
It's really good, man. Anyway, we got to get into that, but it's, again, like, it's like nothing ever, like, anybody who is struggling with that, with the weight and dieting, like, you have to reach out to Danielle or Clean Fork, because it's truly life-changing, really, for a lot of people. Like, how many people's lives have you, like, you must have people telling you that.
Yeah, no, it's really fulfilling. I've been doing it for like just over 3 years now, and definitely hundreds, if not over 1,000
people you've helped.
Wow.
Yeah. And
it's crazy, Brandon, right?
Yeah, even like the cookbooks and stuff. Like, even actually one of my current clients who has lost a lot of inches, weight, completely changed her life. It all started with the cookbook. So she just like bought the cookbook. She had a young son. He was just starting to eat solids, and she really wanted him to like get into like a better, and she knew that she wanted to change the way that she was eating. So she bought this cookbook, and that's where it started. And eventually she did a program, and now she's still
I love
with
it.
us on the membership, and she's doing a photo shoot this July. So
Nice.
super super cool. Yeah.
So you said it started as an Instagram page.
Yeah.
And now look.
And then, so when did it really start to change into something other than just an Instagram page where you were like, oh, I'm going to do this as a full-time business?
Because
Yeah.
you were doing both for a while, right?
Yes. So on my maternity leave in 2019, after I took the course, this is so funny. So after I took the course, I had my nutrition certification. I was like, awesome. I looked to Terry, my husband, like the one who owns the gyms, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Hire me. And I can teach nutrition. Like,
Right.
hire me at Afterburn. And he straight up was like, I'm not hiring you. We can't work together. I won't have that. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed
Smart.
to do, right?
Yeah. Smart man, Terry. Good job.
Smart. It is.
I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, start your own thing, do your own thing, work for yourself. And I'm like, well, what do I do? So he was a really big, like, I'm thankful because he was a really big pusher with that
Yep.
and really helped me get started. I was going to start just with nutrition. He was like, no. People, they want nutrition and they want workouts. So he was like, you need to be able to offer both. And so that's when I started. I always was avid about working out, but I didn't know how to program workouts for people, right? Like, I always had them made for me.
Yeah.
So I really had to dive into the educational side of that to be able to create these workouts for people.
And he made you do it for. He's like, you got to do this for free or something like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like-
that's
Literally, he's like, so the first thing you have to do is you have to like put something out. Like, nutrition was my thing. I'm like, perfect. I'll put out a meal plan. How much should I sell it for? And he's like, no. You have to do it for free. I'm like, for free? This is my job now. Like, and he's like, no, you always have to do stuff for free. You have to. And I was like, okay. And so sure enough, like, I put it out for free. I remember having like my MailChimp, like my mailing list open, because you would sign up for the meal plan to get the download and get the email, right? And I remember just getting like all these notifications, and I got like 1,200 contacts from it.
What?
And that's when I realized like my reach is
Yeah.
really big. Like, I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool.
Super cool to have Terry to point you in that direction. Though,
Oh, yeah.
Because, yeah,
And he's done it
been there,
all.
done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it
There's
was
a lot
nice.
of like there's so much to giving stuff away for free. It's like that's
know.
such it's
I
it's
would
such a
have never done
counterintuitive
it.
thing that a lot of business people don't think would be good.
Yeah.
But like when you, it's like, who am I thinking of right now? This is a weird example, but like Chance the Rapper.
Yeah.
Have you heard of him?
So random.
Have you heard of him though? But
I mean, I know who he is.
His first
I don't.
album. Well, the reason you know who he is because his first album he gave out for free.
Really?
He made a rap album, and it was free.
Oh,
It
I
was
love
it was on iTunes,
Yeah.
and it was free, and that was the first one he ever did.
Oh,
And then
cool.
everybody downloaded it because it's like, well, why not? What do I have to lose? It's
Yeah.
free. And then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, but it's good too.
Yeah.
And everybody knows the next one he sells, bam,
Yeah.
and then
He's
just
got
hit
the
it
hook.
big.
That's
And it's
so
like
fair.
there's so much to that like free analogy.
true.
It's super
Yeah.
super cool.
No, I think it's scary to offer something for free because you pour your blood, sweat, and tears into it, and you
Yeah.
feel like your time is worth something, and it is, but it's so important to also like always give back. And
Yeah.
so I started off in a really good way because I had that guidance.
So when you first started, when you first went to put it out, how nervous were you? Like about what
Oh my
everyone would think, because that's what every entrepreneur or business owner is like. What are my friends gonna think? What's this gonna like? How were you?
Literally.
Were your first post?
I was nervous that so I had put this one out, and this was like a weight loss meal plan. So my first thing is, are they even going to lose weight, right? Because like, what if it doesn't work? And then people start saying that. And so I was most nervous about that, as well as when I took my first couple clients, coaching them. And like most people do start because they want to lose weight. We get some that want to shift body composition and put muscle on. But like for the most part, unfortunately with society, like it's very weight loss driven with females especially. So most people want to lose weight. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm coaching them, they're paying me now. Like what if they don't lose weight? So it took a couple clients to start seeing results from me. Like, no, I can do this.
Yeah.
But I had to
Right.
fake it because I was a coach. So
Yeah.
I had to be super like,
had to be certain
no,
in
this,
yourself.
this is what we'll do. And so that was probably the scariest part, actually, was the first few clients.
But it's crazy how much you evolved. So like I just had back surgery, as you know,
Yes.
like probably 2 months ago, and
Yeah.
I everyone's got to do the physio, you got to do this. And I'm not saying don't go to physio or anything, but I've been going to Danielle now once a week since basically a week after surgery. And like, man, completely, like, there's things I've been working out for years, and she's like laughing at me being like, pal, like, what are you doing? Like, we really don't know, but it's all the structure and the basic movements. So like, my whole outlook on everything is kind of transforming. I'm slowly getting back. Anyway, I thank her for that.
I think you're much more than slowly. Like, you're getting back fast. Man.
Yeah.
You're getting back fast.
Faster than ever.
For just having back surgery, I mean, like, you're on Stairmaster.
But I
you're
got
doing
to hats
a whole
off
bunch of
to
stuff.
Danielle for that, because I'm doing everything you said too.
Yeah, you're doing all of this stuff, and you know, like, also don't want to like, please go to physio, people.
Right.
No, they're great too, but
physio.
Yeah.
All I've been doing, like with you, is really just running you through those basic functional patterns that people, when they go to the gym, like, this is even for people without injuries. Whenever I have people join, I always strip them back to basics, because most of the time they've skipped that. They've gone to the gym and just threw a barbell on their back, and barbells are great, but you should be learning the very basic fundamental piece of that and progressing up to it. And a lot of people skip that mind to muscle activation, like how to properly do stuff, and that's like, so many people are injured. Like, pretty much everybody who signs up has a shoulder problem or something. And it's a shame, because stuff like that should be taught in high school. There should be classes where we do those
I agree. Do you agree
Yeah,
with that?
100%. Well, there should be nutrition taught in high school. There
Yeah.
should be physical movement. Like, the stuff that they teach
Yeah.
is so counterintuitive to, like, how people actually need to live a good life.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, we're going to teach you, like, physics, or, I mean, physics is kind of cool, but like algebra, it's like, that is probably one we could waiver, and like, let's throw some nutrition. Let's throw some nutrition, and maybe a lesson on taxes, maybe a lesson on something that you're actually going to be able to use and actually going to, like, help you
They got to get
navigate
Shakespeare in there.
the society of life. But yeah, absolutely.
Shakespeare.
Gotta
get Shakespeare.
Absolutely.
And my
love
calculator that was like
Shakespeare.
$80 to like do the cos and the sine and the tan.
We
Remember all that?
talked about this on another one, man. That's why I struggled so bad in high school. I had zero interest in most classes.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, Danielle.
Yes.
So, talking about programs.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on 75 Hard? Do you know?
Don't even get her started.
Do you know what that is?
You just opened. I never.
Did you tell him?
I
what
never
I
told
said?
know
him
what that
much. I
is?
just said,
Oh, I know what it is.
because you had a whole podcast on that.
Did you?
I pretty much, we did a podcast episode and we touched a little bit. 75 Hard was lumped into some
what
of
your
these
thoughts are on that,
all
'cause
or nothing.
I'm on day 74 right
mindsets.
now.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's something.
What are you going to do when you're done?
Probably the same thing.
75 Hard again and again
No,
and
no,
again
no.
for the rest of your life?
No, it's just like
Incorporate some of
what
it, right?
what I find is it just seems to implement good habits into your life. That's the really nice thing about it. Even the reading. I'm like, I didn't realize how much I enjoy to read. It's like your brain craves, even though like I'm doing it every night. It's the last thing I do.
Yeah.
And I'm like exhausted by the time I'm opening up a book, and I'm like, I really don't want to read 10 pages, but I read them, and I'm like, I feel so
you
good.
feel
And it kind of like
better.
just feeds the brain a little bit, and then you go to bed, and you got new information in your mind, and then I'm like looking at this book, and I'm like, I'm 300 pages in. I've never been 300 pages into any book in my life.
Yeah.
But it's just that consistency, pounding away at it. And this is my second time doing it. I did it once like 3 or 4 years ago. And every time I do it, just gets me into the best shape, mentally, physically, but also it just instills those habits again, where it's like, okay, here's the things that I need to be doing. I need to be more cognitive of what I'm eating.
Yeah.
I need to be more cognitive of the alcohol I'm consuming. I need to be more cognitive of like how much I'm working out and getting outside.
Yeah.
Just the part of like a 45-minute exercise needs to be outdoors, and just getting yourself outside every day. I think there's some real big mental benefits to that.
What don't you don't? That's just not your thing.
But I would love to hear what you think about it, because you have an expert opinion. You have a much better opinion than I do.
Well,
I'm
I
just
have a
talking about it
different-
as a real estate agent.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm just a guy that likes to push himself beyond the point of probably reasonable measures. Like,
That
I ran a
sounds
marathon in
accurate.
October.
that's
I
about
ran a
right.
marathon
That's
in
about right.
October. I'll probably run 2 more this year. I really enjoy putting strain on myself.
Yeah.
Even though you could only do a minute in the tub, and I did too.
Yeah, in the tub.
He should revamp
Yeah.
his 75
Do you
hard.
want to?
Yes.
Yeah.
To a cold bath.
Minimum X amount of time.
Let's go for a run right now,
No,
Evan. I
you'll
will
kill me.
friggin' kill
You'll
you.
kill me. Yeah.
I know. I'll run till your friggin' heart explodes.
You would. Yeah. 100%.
Love that.
He did 42K marathon last year. Disgusting. I hate running.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll tell you my thoughts.
'Kay.
And it's not as like an expert opinion. It's of so remember what I said about kind of like my motto is all about, balance and finding something that fits in your lifestyle, something that you can do week to week and every day.
Yeah, there's no balance in this lifestyle.
So the reason why I don't love a 75 hard, not saying that there's not cool things that come from it, like how you discovered that you like reading, and like you said, it can force you to get outside and stuff. I'm just more, I deal with clients that some of them like to have to do physical activity every single day, might feel super impossible. And if they don't get that done and I ask that of them, it will send them into a depression.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So I'm just like, I want to set you up for success. So if this week you can only physically do 2 workouts, that's all I want you to do. What happens? They do the 2 workouts. They feel fucking amazing.
Right.
If I ask them to do
You're building
3
people up.
and they only got 2, they would feel like they let me down. They let themselves down. Like these are people, like also like someone like you. I don't know much about you, but maybe you're already in a decent mindset with yourself. So this program is not damaging for you. You're already in a good place. You're not at, you might go through like mental struggles, of course, but some people can really feel down if they don't achieve what they're supposed to do, and it's a lot of pressure.
100%.
That's why I don't love it.
That's why.
I mean, it's definitely an it's definitely not for everybody.
Right.
I don't think, and it's like, but then also too, I also believe that if someone's willing to do it, like even though it's called 75 hard, and like the last time I did it, I was outside running every time. This time I'm outside with a very intentful walk.
Right.
And it's like
How you
my
choose to
grandmother
do it.
approached it at one point, and like she decided to do like 45-minute workout. She had little dumbbells,
Cute.
and then she got outside. But it's like
Yeah.
everybody can kind of tailor it in a way as long as they're checking the boxes on what they need to be doing for the workout. Like it doesn't need.
Yeah.
It can be grueling for some
I
people,
have a
but then that
question.
consistency though.
Do you have to take progress pictures every day, though?
Yeah.
See, don't love that.
No, you don't.
No.
I've never done progress pictures.
Yeah.
Listen, I did bodybuilding shows, so I'm coming at it from a different lens, and taking pictures of yourself and your progress super frequently can be so damaging mentally.
Right.
So I don't love that aspect. I hear you on the move your body every day. I think that's great.
How often, like with your program, you're doing progress pictures, like maybe once a month or something?
Yeah.
So you can really see a difference.
When they join, we do every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then, like, if they've been with us for a while and have had, like, large results and are making it more lifestyle, we do once every 5 weeks, usually.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, like, there's points in the 75 hard where there's like major burnout.
100%.
Where I'm just like,
You're
where like my adrenals are just like, it's like I'm like vibrating and I'm like shaking and I'm like, there was
You're
like one day
selling
where
it
I was
to
like,
me.
I feel like a shell.
Yeah.
I feel like a shell of a human. There's like one weekend and then I was just like, and I went to the supplement store and I'm just looking for anything to make me feel better. I'm like, maybe some adrenal stuff. Like, what do I need? I'm buying all these multivitamins. I'm like, do I need more magnesium? The cupboard right now is just
you need
jam
to fucking
Yeah,
relax.
you need to chill out. Yeah, take a day.
Yeah.
You need a rest day, buds.
I know.
That's the beauty about what you have. There's a program for everyone, and you make everyone feel good. That's the goal.
And that's important.
That is the goal. Is just like I don't want it to look the same for everyone in a matter of how short or long their workouts are, how frequent their workouts are.
Yeah.
Their meals aren't going to look the same. Some of them aren't even taking progress photos because it hurts them, mentally.
Yeah.
So some people will take progress photos. Some people that just doesn't serve them. Some people weigh in, some people don't. So that's what I don't love about that program.
And I completely understand that. Coming from your perspective, where it's like you want to build people up and get people on the right course. It's
I
like
love that.
starting from, like if somebody isn't working out right now, then this isn't the best program to start off.
Right.
Right? It's like that's definitely
that's
not
gonna
suitable.
sustain.
And honestly, I mean, like I've talked to people and they're like, oh, it's not healthy, it's not this, it's not that. It probably isn't. And I don't even think the guy that made it, Andy Frisella, I mean, he's not.
We'll have to tag
He's
him in.
he's no specialist. He's no
Hey,
specialist in that stuff. But it was just a mental. It was like a mental tough program.
Yeah.
More so than like a physical. And I completely understand where you're coming from. Like you want to get people starting, get the wheels turning.
And I don't want to scare them away. And I also recognize that changing diet and changing exercise, that's a lot to put on one person. So, I mean, we even have people where, like, we want them to, you know, maybe work out once a week or twice a week. Sometimes that's even too much because the nutrition changes are so huge. And it's like you don't want them to get disappointed in themselves. They're already disappointed. That's why they signed up.
I feel like there's so many people out there that want a change but don't know how or where to start.
It's a lot. It's overwhelming.
So like if anyone can see, like, don't be shy to reach out to Danielle. She doesn't bite.
Slide into my DMs.
Yeah.
I got another question for you, Danielle.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on fasting? Let's say intermittent fasting.
He's hardcore.
No, I just want to. I mean,
I love this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm honestly, genuinely interested.
So
'cause I love learning.
Yes. So my opinion on intermittent fasting is that we're already doing that when we sleep. We're not eating. We do have people that ask if they can do like intermittent fasting and not eat until like 11 or 12. And so the first thing I always ask is why, because that's really important. Is this something to do with religion? Is this something to do hormonal? Or is this just because you haven't succeeded with weight loss in other ways that you think this will help you lose weight? If it's the third option, it's usually, I will never not say no, don't do it, but I'll just say, if you're only doing this because you want to lose weight, think about how disordered thinking that is. Oh, I just won't eat all morning even if I'm hungry because I'll lose weight. So I'm not okay with it in that sense. We do have some people who wake up, they're just not hungry. I'm like, okay, eat when you're hungry. So some people do
There's so
intermittent fasting.
There's so much to it, eh? Like,
see, like
you
very,
really
like,
know.
It's very psychological, and you really have to like figure out motives why people, because like, we're taking people's lives and trust, and I don't want to lead them astray. So I need to know, am I going to contribute to disordered eating and disordered thinking, or am I going to help them repair that relationship?
You've really thought of everything.
So like, besides the psychological aspect of it, is there benefits to intermittent fasting? Like, from what I've read, it's supposed to from what I understand is, like, people aren't supposed to eat 3 times a day. People don't normally eat 3 times a day, and the longer that you'll go without eating, and they even talk about doing it, like, so let's say some people, like, they'll fast for like 24 hours, maybe every quarter or something, just to do like almost like a cleansing of the body. And from what I've read, there's supposed to be benefits to increasing your white blood cells, which then help your body repair tissue instead of working on digesting all the time. Is there any truth to that? Is that something that you like learned on the nutrition course? Or?
So we didn't touch on that in the course, and it's funny because I'm actually, next week I do start a hormone specialist course, so I'm excited to take that. It's an 8-week course, and I'm hoping to learn more on like the effects of fasting on hormones and whatnot. I can't speak on the scientific piece of the white blood cells. I really don't know enough about it. The digestion thing kind of annoys me though, because I'm just kind of like, you're digesting when you sleep, and like, that's what your digestive system is for. Like, if you're eating enough fiber in your day, you don't need to give your body a break to digest. Like, that's just bogus to me. I just hate when I hear that, because I'm like, literally, we have colons for a reason. We don't need to give them a break unless maybe we need to look at what we're eating if we feel we need to give it a break. But so that's my personal opinion. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel about that scenario. I really only believe in it if it's like you're just maybe not hungry, you don't enjoy eating in the morning. Some people feel sick if they eat too early in the morning. But I also don't think it should be I either do it or I don't. I think it's, today if I woke up not hungry, I don't eat till 11. Tomorrow I woke up starving, so I'm going to eat.
What about spike in insulin levels and stuff? Because as soon as you eat, your insulin levels are going to go up a little bit. Like, I notice as soon as I eat, I feel more tired.
In the morning, for me,
So like right now, I still haven't had any food today. All I do is like black coffee, so it's noon. It's almost noon.
No,
me
it's all
checking my
good.
watch.
We're gonna.
So
No, I was checking to see how long he's going without eating.
so
Yeah, he goes to like 12 or 1 every day.
like, because I feel good doing it, and I actually
Yeah.
feel more energized, and like
Yeah.
my
You
brain
feel
feels good, and then
good.
it helps me with being productive too.
Yeah.
Because I find as soon as I eat, I'm just like, I'm almost like, okay, slowing down a little bit. It's like the system kind of like winding down.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like if I feel hungry, it's like I'm like amped up to
Yeah.
like go out and like achieve things or something. It's
Do you
like
think
I'm
this
like
is-
energized.
Do you think this is all related because he does 75 hard,
Hun-
so he's just like intense
He's
over
in,
here?
he's just
No,
intense.
no.
I think for anyone starting
just
out though,
kidding.
like you said, Danielle, just to try to lose weight, it's too hard mentally.
There's definitely benefits in that sense. Like if you enjoy it and you thrive off it and you notice like a decrease in brain fog, there's definitely been research on that, and I really think it's the individual that
Right.
like depending. But I think if you were hungry and it brought on like
Nausea.
misery,
Right.
you
right.
should eat. So that's
course.
I,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want to be clear that I'm not against it, and I certainly have clients who do it. But I always tell them, like, if you're hungry, that's your body telling you something. Yesterday you could have been more active than you were the day before, and your body's telling you something, so you should probably eat, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my view on it. Like, I'm not against it.
Is there something to like, because I'm right into this stuff.
Yeah.
So is there something to like gut bacteria? So let's say somebody's eating a lot of pasta. Let's say somebody's
Yes.
eating a lot of sugary pasta. They're eating a lot of sugary bread. They're eating a lot of candy,
Yeah.
chips.
Yeah.
And like, you know how you can just like slam, like, I mean, for me, like I could sit there and probably down me a full bag of chips
100%,
and more.
yeah.
And
Oh,
I could
yeah.
keep eating and keep eating it and keep eating. It's like, because you get this like mouth pleasure of the crunch and the taste. This stuff is designed to literally like hit your serotonin levels and your dopamine and spike all that stuff, so you feel good while you're eating it, but then you feel like garbage after. But then you'll notice your stomach's like growling the next morning, or even like growling like right afterwards. So it's like, does that gut bacteria create the feeling of being hungry sometimes if your gut biome isn't set right based off what you're eating?
I don't think like eating a bag of chips could throw off the gut bacteria. I think that's just your metabolism being like, hello, because you like ate a bunch of calories
Hello.
and probably carbs.
Right.
It's like, hey, I'm here, like feed me. Also, like, how often would you like dummy a bag of chips?
Oh, well, like, I haven't done it. I haven't had a potato chip for like 2.5 months at this point right now.
because he's.
But sometimes.
Daniel's like, well, I
not
had
me
one
just
last-
coaching someone during this podcast.
Right. Yeah, this is not advice.
This
is not
is why
advice
you're
at all.
eating the full bag of chips. Is because you're not having it for 2.5 months.
This is all about what her.
Yeah.
See her. Everything's balanced in her plan, right?
You would
Right.
have
There's
chips every day if I did you a meal plan because
Oh,
you like them that
interesting.
much.
if you like them that much.
Yeah,
Right.
if you like them. And you know what? You might think you want to eat them every day because you haven't had them for 2.5 months, and you have a little bit every day, and you're like, I'm good. I actually don't need to eat these every day.
So is there something, I guess, so what that question more was can you sometimes feel hungry, but you're actually not, like your stomach's going, like it's growling, it's like it's doing that hungry feeling, but what you're actually experiencing is like your
Like a
your gut
like a
biome craving more
craving, yeah.
sugars, more pastas, more breads?
I actually don't know the answer to that, to be honest. I think it's growling. If it's the next day, you're probably hungry. You slept all night and your body didn't get that much food and really worked on digestion and was more amped up than usual. Could make noises and whatnot, but you will kind of, you're asking of your metabolism when you load it with more food, and that's exactly what it's there for.
Right.
And so it's very normal to like have a free meal or an off meal. We like to call them instead of cheat meals.
Right.
To wake up the next day feeling very hungry, and that's because your metabolism like worked overdrive for that because it's not used to that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so much to
what's
it.
your
It's
thoughts
wild.
on on protein intake? I actually want I'm right into this stuff. So
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm-
what's
yeah,
your
no,
thoughts on
I'm-
protein intake, Danielle? Like, so when it comes
Well-
to how much protein somebody should get, let's say they're trying to build muscle.
What's your thoughts on monsters?
Sugar free, baby.
So on protein
they're
intake,
delicious.
like, is there validity to the 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight?
Yes, that is kind of like, so you can look at it two ways. I mean, it depends on also like how many calories you're taking in a day. So for example, we like to do per pound of body fat, 1 gram of protein. But
pound of body fat.
per pound of body fat. So if you're like 150 pounds, 150 grams of protein.
Right. Okay.
That being said, let's say you're going into like a calorie deficit where maybe your calories are lower, then that would like a lot for you to make sure that you get the other macronutrients. Then I say 30% of your daily calorie intake should come from protein. So it might not always match up with per pound of body fat,
Yep.
but ideally that's what you would want, especially if you're in a calorie deficit, so you don't like, because as people lose weight, they don't just lose pure body fat, they will lose muscle, and that's normal, by the way. Like, especially if you're in a calorie deficit, you'll lose a certain percentage of that fat as like body fat, and some of it might be muscle. That's just the way it is. You are starving yourself on a deficit, so that's normal. But a way to slow that down or keep more mass would be to eat higher protein.
Okay.
But you have to be careful because you don't want to omit your fats and carbs too, right?
Right.
So I usually say like 30% at least of your daily intake of protein, 35% maybe if you're in a deficit where your calories are too small, that it would be less than your grams of body fat.
And then is it
So
is it
confusing
important
to everybody,
No,
I'm
no,
sorry.
that
This
makes
is-
perfect
no,
sense.
it
That makes
does,
perfect
yeah.
sense. Is it more important to follow your calories, or is it more important to follow the macronutrients? Because I know
Yeah.
sometimes
That's
like,
a good question.
so
yeah, that's a good
so-
question.
Yeah,
So
and not
calories-
everybody will agree with me on
so
this.
calories, from what I understand, are how something burns in a incinerator. but like, isn't that how they measure
never
it? Like
heard
they
that
pretty well
word
put like a
before.
food in an
I've actually
oven,
never heard that word either.
No.
and then they burn it, and it's like the amount of energy or something released from that food
Yeah.
dictates the calories. But
How
that's
many
not how our
calories it
body
has.
digests food, though. So I heard
So-
the calories are almost fairly like irrelevant in a way because it's not exactly how our body burns food.
No, I would agree that like it depends on your goals. So like if you're trying to gain weight, there's three things. Gain weight, that's the same thing as gain muscle, by the way.
Okay.
Gain weight, maintain weight, lose weight, okay? And that's all based on your daily calorie intake. So the piece that is hard to measure is, first of all, if I hop on the treadmill and burn 200 calories, how does the treadmill actually know I'm burning 200 calories?
Right.
I always wonder that because
Right.
there's no way.
It's
There's-
not,
Yeah.
it just simply doesn't know.
Yeah.
Not to mention, depending on the way that you train, if you're doing like strength training, you'll burn calories at rest. If you have more muscle in your body, you'll burn more calories. So anyways, that's really hard to measure. But in terms of like, let's just talk weight loss, because that's usually what we do. For the most part, it's most popular. We will create a meal plan from a calorie prescription. So like, let's say I put somebody on 1,800 calories a day. I'll formulate it into a meal plan for them based on that prescription of 1,800 calories a day. The macros itself, I always want 30% of that to be protein because
Right,
that is
okay.
so important.
Yeah.
I don't really care what happens with carbs and fats. This is what people will disagree with me on, is I don't really believe in it being perfect every single day. I think it's important for your body to have some high carb days and some high fat days.
Right.
Like, I
Okay.
think there's a lot to that. I don't want one to be omitted though either.
Right.
Like keto would be low carb. I don't really want that. Now, could you have a day where it's low carb? Sure. I think that's fine. I think it's, like I said, I think it's important for your body to be thrown a loop, to say.
Right.
But stay within your calories, because you're not going to hit that weight loss goal if you go over them. You really won't.
Right. Okay.
It is about the calories, because you want to be eating less or burning more than you're intaking. That's how you'll lose the weight.
Right.
So you're eating calories. Food are calories and our energy, and then you're using energy. So
You studied like literally everything in every single meal plan, pretty much, and everything everybody does, and that's why your whole brand is so open to absolutely everything. It's just tailored to everybody, pretty much.
Yeah, and we try not to like have people super focused on the calories, because it can stress them out and they have to
Yeah.
track their food. That's just not for everyone. So that's why we give them their macros, and then we kind of give meal suggestions that would fall in those calories.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, I might say like, oh, a 250 calorie snack would be great, because if they're out at a store, it's super important to be able to grab something and know that that meets their goals in terms of calories. But we try not to get too much into them. So depending on the client and how we kind of scale them when they come in, we'll keep the calories on our side if it's going to stress them out to have to track those. Some clients prefer to track because they have way more freedom, right, than a meal plan.
Right.
But calories are, to go back to your question.
Yeah, the calories versus macros.
So the macros are the calories. So like you'll have, let's say 1,800 calories a day, and then 100% of that are the macros, proteins, fats, carbs, and they'll get divvied up, but they'll stay under that calorie amount.
Okay. So you're doing a bit of both then.
Yeah, like it is essentially like everything.
Which makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Everything that makes up calories are macros. So you're not doing them ever.
Right.
You're always doing them. But some people are fixated on like, oh, I have to have 150 grams of protein. I have to have 80 grams of fat and 200 grams of carbs. And if I go over by 5, I'm not on. And I don't believe that. I think depending on your goal, hit your calories and hit your protein, and like relax when it comes to fat and carbs. Like,
and it's like you're
just
saying
let
too,
it flow.
Right. It's like
this is perfect for this, because you just come off the 75 hard, so
there's
it's perfect.
something of the consistency of it too, right? It's like, you know, if you're not hitting the 150 one day, like, that's, you know, don't be completely down on yourself. It's just aiming in that direction, making sure you're aiming in the right direction on a consistent basis. And some days it might be more, some days it might be less. Yeah. But it's as long as you're aiming, as long as you're kind of always stepping into that direction, then it's probably going to be good over the long term.
And it's also important for people too, because maybe you spent your day like eating, thinking that you were making awesome choices, put it into your tracking app, and you're like, frig, I was low on protein today. Like, okay, the day's over. You learned from that. Now you know that protein snack might not. What can you do now to make it higher?
But so
now,
many
another
people
really
beat
cool
themselves
thing
up
about
like that.
Another really cool thing is when you start tracking your food, you start to really pay attention to what you're eating. And I think that actually, just in itself, is a very big step forward, because now you're like, okay, I'm tracking what I'm eating and putting all this effort into that. Well, I may as well maybe do an exercise too. I may as well try to eat right. And it just now puts what most people do unconsciously, which is eating. Most people just eat unconsciously. They open up the fridge and they just start grabbing things and whatever looks good and whatever's the easiest, quickest kind of thing to get into you. Yeah. And if you start to track that, I think there's so many benefits to really consciously taking control of
it's just the
mindfulness of your mind, of your mind,
realizing,
and then thinking, well, if I'm going to eat, I may as well eat something fairly healthy.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question. I'm just
shoot,
because like genuinely,
this is your chance.
When you talk about carbs, I love carbs.
Yeah.
I love pasta.
Same.
I love bread. I love potatoes. I love fries. I love all carbs. I love all carbs.
Same.
Do you value the carbs the same? Let's say, like, for me, I see like whole food carbs. So I see like potatoes, sweet potatoes. That's almost in my mind like a separate type of carb.
Oh.
Then, like, let's say bread, right? Then let's say somebody having like a loaf of bread. So if you're saying like we need to get X amount of carbs, is it valued the same if it's coming from a potato versus bread? Because what I've done over the last couple of months was try to cut out like the unhealthy carbs.
You mean like
so
whole
I've been doing
foods
like
and things like that?
I've been doing more whole foods. So
Yeah.
like I've been doing for like carbs, it's like potatoes, and like I'll do like sweet potatoes, but it's like I'm trying to do less bread. So I'll do like a wrap instead, or I'm doing like a wrap or quinoa pasta, for example. So instead of doing the regular pasta, I've been doing quinoa pasta, which, by the way, is absolutely amazing. Quinoa pasta is so good.
This guy does 75 hard. You cannot listen to him.
Yeah.
Whatever he says, just he's a different beast.
He's a different breed.
Yeah.
So how do you value like carbs? Because I don't know how to really look at it in my mind. Because it's like, is a potato the same as having bread? And I personally don't feel that there's any way that can be processed the same in your body.
So whole foods are definitely, if you were to like choose which one should I eat more of, you should opt for the whole food version, like the potatoes, even like rice, even though rice is technically like minimally processed. Definitely. So yes, your body will use things differently, and as we know, like, so your blood sugar and all of those things will react differently. But one word that like I picked up on for you that you used was like unhealthy, which we don't use because it goes back to that relationship with food and that all in or all out mindset, which is damaging because now you struggle with even looking at bread. Right.
Well, I mean, I love bread.
So like,
I would,
they're still going to be used.
Same here, man.
Yeah. Same here. I eat
She's a
bread
big
every day.
sourdough bread girl.
Oh yeah,
Don't
me
even
too.
get me
Love
started
sourdough.
on sourdough.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. So definitely, like, there's a time and there's a place, and there's certainly things that you should eat more of. But I would never count out things like bread or pasta.
Okay, cool.
You can still utilize them as a carb. That's the same process. It's just kind of like, okay, like some might digest better for you than others. The body might use more nutrients from something than it would from others, but there's a place for both. But certainly you'll feel better, and you actually probably will be able to bring in like a tighter physique if that's what your goal is, by opting more for whole food.
Right.
Whole foods in general, not even just carbs, like packaged things,
Right.
stuff like that. Definitely quality is something for sure. So it really just depends on your goals. And like, if you're somebody who's eating pasta every day and you don't like potatoes, you want to make sure you enjoy what you're eating. That's a big philosophy of mine for it to stick.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just, okay, I used to eat this 5 times a week. Why don't I just eat it 3 times a week?
Right.
And that's an improvement, and that's going to help. So instead of thinking I shouldn't have that, thinking, oh, I used to eat 6 cookies, I'll eat 3, you know?
Right. It's a step in the right direction.
It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
You can always improve on that over time, and it's always going to be better than what you were doing before.
Right.
Yeah, it's just being aware. Like I'll have a bowl of ice cream, but you look at the box, like, okay, like 1 cup is like 200 some calories,
oh my
but
God,
before
ice
it had
cream's
like
such
3
a
cups.
rip-off.
Yeah, but now it's just like I don't need 3 cups.
Yeah.
But
You know what's even better is frozen yogurt.
So good.
so good.
Yeah.
I have a question. Sugars.
Yes.
So when we're talking about sugars, here's something else I don't fully understand. Like, and I've had this conversation with some people, and they'll say like, well, there's a lot of sugar in an orange, and there's a lot of sugar in an apple. Now I know that comes with fiber. So like, I guess what's the difference between, let's say, like the sugars in an orange juice versus the sugars actually in the orange? Is it the fiber that comes along with it that makes it better, or are we counting sugars?
That's a good question. I've always
Because like some people
that.
some people are like, oh, we need to reduce the sugar intake, and they're like, oh, there's a lot of sugar in those blueberries,
Like,
and I'm like, there's no way eating a bunch of blueberries is bad for you. There's no way it's
There's
like,
no way.
is that bad for you?
Bananas.
There's no way.
Like somebody
Bananas,
told me one time on a diet, she's like, you can only eat half a banana. I'm like, what?
Right.
No.
Right. It's like,
I'm gonna
that
eat my
seems
banana. I'm gonna put a bunch of
crazy.
peanut butter on it, and I'm eating it.
That seems
So
absolutely
good.
asinine to me.
Yeah, those are just not my people, to be honest.
I love that.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
Because
Like it's a whole food. It has sugar in it. Yes, there's gonna be some that are higher than others, but it's a friggin' food that grew
from
the
the
way
earth.
that it was supposed
Yeah.
to be. Now, when you get into juices, I think some of them do add sugar,
yeah.
right? So it's different to go purchase some orange juices versus taking the orange and creating your own juice, right? They're not the same thing. So when it comes to like added sugars, like I could see a reason to like, cut down on that or whatever. But at the end of like all of my answers, you're also going to hear me say, but if you really like it, you can have it, just don't have it all the time.
Right.
So I would never even tell, like I have a client that drinks Coke every single day. She has a really hard time cutting her Coke down. She
Damn.
drinks a lot of Coke. And so instead of cutting
That's
Coke
wild.
out, it's like, let's just drink a little bit less. Like they sell mini cans now. Like, why don't we just buy those and have one of those? Like, because it's
That's
so
awesome.
hard for them to cut it out.
Anybody
And I
that
don't
hears
think
this
you
is
should
going to be like,
have to.
call her for the diet plan.
Yeah.
This, is like,
This
this
is
sounds
my kind of
amazing.
girl.
This sounds incredible. This sounds amazing.
There's
Sounds
a
too
so
good
much-
to be
though.
true.
It is.
Sounds
true, and
too
that's
good
why
to be
I knew
true.
you would really like this, Brandon. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there that aren't even aware, but it Danielle does make it
So-
for everyone.
It's important.
So those sugars, is it the fact that there's fibers connected? So let's say like a fruit, because from what I've heard is the amount of
I don't
fiber in the fruit helps prolong the way the sugar's breaking down in the body, as opposed to just drinking. Like if you had an orange that comes with a whole bunch of fiber, helps slow down the rate that your body is actually processing that sugar, as opposed to you're drinking orange juice, minimal fiber, all the sugar, all the juices, and now your body just, and it's almost like you just had 17 oranges at once.
Right.
And your body's going, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Sometimes I just like, I find it's such a thing now that it's like, oh, don't spike the blood sugar, and it's like, but like, why not? Like that's what we have. That's what we have insulin for.
Right,
Like that's why
right.
you have insulin.
Like,
so
go
like,
for the ride.
I mean,
Let's do it.
of course,
Let's
it depends
go.
on the person, like diabetics versus non-diabetics,
Right.
but I honestly can't comment on like the fiber content in relation to like what sugar does in the body. You should certainly have a certain amount of fiber a day that just helps with digestion in general, but in terms of like the reaction of your body with the sugar, there's just I don't like, there's a glycemic index, and this is kind of like what number this fruit is on the glycemic index is how it will respond to your blood sugar in the body, and there's ones that are higher and lower. I actually had one of those Libre sensors put on.
Oh,
where
you
you
did?
can, I did. I
Wow.
was just curious
What is
to
it?
see. It's so it's mostly for diabetics, but it's like a little sensor that is in your bloodstream, and you hook it up to your phone, and you can eat something and it will spike, or you can keep an eye on your sugars and
like measures
see
your
if they get
sugars.
low or high. It was
Okay.
really interesting, and it gave me like a perspective on food. And the reason why I did it is because there was like all this rage about don't spike your blood sugars. This is how you can lose weight, is by not spiking them. So I fucking spiked them every day. I was spiking them
Right.
constantly.
That's
So
amazing.
you're almost doing
That's-
like
and
a
I
science
lost
experiment with
3
yourself.
pounds. Yes.
That's cool. That
Because
is
I
cool.
just wanted to prove that like you can still lose, like it's the calories, it's back to the calories.
There's so much BS out there.
There's a lot of BS, and I
it's
just
crazy.
find like at the end of the day, guys, like just eat what you want to eat, choose like whole foods more often than less, and figure out what your goals are, because calories are certainly related. You could literally lose weight off, like you saw that guy eat McDonald's every day. What was his name?
Oh,
He lost weight.
Yeah.
Like he
Did he?
ate.
Who?
Yes.
What was that?
I feel like
Super
his name
Size
was
Me?
Andy
No,
or
it's at the tip of my
something.
tongue.
Why can't
It's
I
Super
remember?
Size Me.
awful.
He
Well,
did lose weight for Super Size Me, did he? Or no?
I don't
no,
know.
that guy.
I don't even think I
Well,
watched
he was
that.
eating McDonald's 3-4 times a
I
day.
didn't watch
That
That's
guy.
right, he
Yeah.
gained.
Well, what about the Subway
He's
guy?
gonna die. That guy.
He was gonna die.
Andy, is that his name?
That was the Subway
Someone's
guy.
name
No,
is
no, no.
Andy.
Who was the Subway? Who was the Subway guy? You know what's interesting about Subway that I didn't know? Did you know their bread is closer to a pastry than actual bread?
Interesting.
Their bread is considered
Why is
closer.
Why
'cause
did-
it's,
how'd
it's
you
pretty
hear
well just
that?
like a big donut.
So is it just higher in sugar?
Way higher
God,
in sugar.
well, that's probably why it tastes so
Way
good.
high.
That's
That's why it
yummy.
tastes
100%.
so good.
That is,
I didn't
we
realize
should have
that.
got some subs for this.
Well, think about that
You
guy.
can eat that.
Think
It's
about that
okay.
guy.
By the way, this is on plan.
Who was that guy? Who was that guy that ate a bunch of Subway and then packed on a bunch of weight? Like he was like, oh yeah, he was like the Subway like
That's this
commercial
red
guy.
eye here is making me not think of anything.
No,
That's what it is.
We are.
making me not think of. I can't stop
You
thinking.
should know this. You're doing 75 hard and you're intermittent fasting. Your brain should be sharp.
I should know this guy's name that I
Yeah.
that I care not about. That I-
Jamie, pull that up.
Jamie,
Yeah.
pull that up. Yeah.
Where's our
And your
person?
brain
Yeah,
sharp.
Jamie, pull that
Put
up.
it in the notes.
Sharp as a
Before
pool
we
stick.
wrap this up, though, because we do all got to get going. You got a
Right.
call coming
I
up.
could stay here forever.
That's the thing. We could stay here all
This
day
was
long.
amazing.
I want you to
Yeah.
tell us though before we wrap it up. Like, so right now we're in Afterburn Performance Center in Rothesay. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about like Afterburn. It's a gym for like literally everybody, right? You
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't
plug
have
the
to
gym.
feel-
Plug the gym,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
plug the clean fork.
Get that plug in. I feel like I plugged clean fork the whole time.
But you can. This gym's like for everyone. You don't have to feel like, because I think a lot of people feel like they have a hard time walking in the doors of the gym. Really,
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
it's one of the hardest parts when
And
you're
I
getting started.
feel like here it's so
hard to-
welcoming. There's
Yeah.
Like, there's
It's it's a tight knit community. It's a different way of training. Like you guys walked in, there's not a ton of cardio machines. It's
Right.
very like a functional fitness approach. That's kind of like my husband used to train. He still does train some athletes, and so everything's kind of came from like that functionality point of training and really starting down here and building up slowly over time.
Right.
And the equipment, like there's no gym around here with all of this type of equipment. Like literally if you see it anywhere, it's like, oh, I want to try that. I wonder if this gym has it. Like we definitely do because he just trains in so many different ways.
And there's 2 locations.
There's 2 locations. There's this one that we're in right now, which is the Rothesay one. And then there's one in town as well on Bayside Drive. And both of them do classes as well. So like there's basic gym memberships. There's also metabolic classes, which are unreal. You should try one.
I did, man. I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
that's right.
I did it before. And no joke, Brandon. I was like near puking in a bucket at the end of it. But
That's
I mean,
good.
everybody
That's a
can do
good
what they
workout.
want. But I'm going all in.
You were
right?
going all in.
And then there's the saunas and the cold plunge too, which we
Which
did
we
the cold
just did,
plunge,
and
which
I'm
was
like,
amazing.
I still feel like
that was my
I'm
first real
shaking.
cold plunge ever.
Me too.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. So that's at this location. And then there's personal training as well. They do up programs for people because, like you said, you come to the gym, you're scared, you're intimidated, and maybe you don't know what to do for workouts, right? So you can get programs made here as well for you where a trainer will walk you through the first couple sessions, and then you can continue to come on your own. You'll feel comfortable because you ran through it with
And I
somebody.
love it too because I think a lot of people it's locally owned and operated, and that if anyone seriously, you got to get in here to appreciate it because maybe we have some videos that we'll add to this, but it's super cool.
Yeah.
And the equipment's really really good. It's not cheap stuff.
Yeah, it's nice stuff, and we are building back up post COVID. I mean, we were shut down.
Rough. Yeah.
That was really hard for the gym industry. I mean, just even look around in Rothesay, there's barely any gyms left standing after that. And so, supporting local is huge, specifically for small businesses like that, right? Because they were the ones that had to close their doors and completely get no tough.
I know. That's a whole. I could go on. That just
that's
makes my blood boil.
our
That's
that's that was tough. And anyways, so the gyms are friggin' awesome.
Yeah, this is wicked.
Stellar. Yeah.
So if anybody has any questions about the gym, reach out to Danielle Knox. Danielle, what's your Instagram name?
Blizzard.
Knox Blizzard.
Danielle Blizzard.
Yeah.
I can't keep track either.
You just said earlier.
If anybody's looking for a phenomenal way to have a nutrition plan, sounds like Danielle's going to be able to help anybody out with any type of dieting style.
Come on
and that's the really cool part, I think, that I've learned just from, because this is our first time meeting. I know you guys have known each other for quite some time, but even just hearing the way that you go about your dieting plan, it's not going to scare people away. This is it's a welcoming plan to kind of get going in the right direction, and then people can hone it in from there as much as they want to. But it's the hardest part is getting started.
It is.
And you're approaching it in a very welcoming and approachable way for people that sounds like something. I mean, it's like I'd call and just say hey, what do I need to do? Kind of anybody.
And I'm
could.
so glad you get to come and do this because of what you just put your body through. So to pick her brain a little bit.
Absolutely, man. This is stuff that I think about and I'm Googling all the time and trying to figure out it's what's right, what's wrong, and I'm reading it.
Don't you love it?
And then there's an article you can find an article on why carbs are great, and then you can find why carbs give you cancer, and then it's literally both very compelling.
Yeah.
Don't you love our We're literally a couple of real estate agents that do a podcast that don't even talk about real estate. So I love that.
Yeah.
By the way, I am Evan Young with EXP in St. John.
So at the end of every podcast, he goes, by the way, we are real estate agents.
By the way. But this was wicked today. This was awesome.
But we're also
this was
humans.
cool.
We're also people. We're also very curious.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Happy to share everything, and I'm definitely an open book. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was awesome.
All our contact info will be in the description here. You can follow Danielle, Brandon, and myself. Everything will be in it. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe. Let's go.
Yay.
There we go.
All right, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Clap.